Hey there, Rod and Miss and girls and family. And so London asked me to share something in regards to Jordan, and I guess as I think back on Jordan's life, I just think of him as being a fun kid, and he's always in my house with my son, and felt like he was almost like a son to us. He was goofy and fun and all the aboves. But I was reading a passage this morning that I thought is maybe somewhat appropriate, but it was taken here in Philippians, and it said, "For I fully expect and hope that I will never be ashamed, but that I will continue to be bold for Christ as I have been in the past." That's one thing Jordan was I thought he was just a young man that was growing in his faith and very bold in his witness. Then Paul goes on, he says, "And I trust that my life will bring honor to Christ." That's exactly what I think Jordan did with his brief life of 14 or 15 years. He brought honor to the Lord. And he says, "Whether I live or die." And I think of even through his life, he brought honor to Christ. And I think even through his death, he brought honor to the Lord. And then Paul goes on, he says, For to me, living means living for Christ, and dying is even better. But if I live, I can do more fruitful work for Christ, so I really don't know which is better. I'm torn between two desires. I long to go and be with Christ, which would be far better for me. And then, so as I was thinking about this passage, you guys, I was just thinking, time is so short, and it seems like it's been a long, long time since he passed. And I know earthly time, it has been a long time, but in eternity, I think of how brief this moment will be. And as I think of Jordan, I think of all that we've missed out on. I think of Billy Graham when he was dying, and he said, someday you're going to hear that old Billy's dead. And he said, don't believe it for a moment, because I'll be more alive at that time than I've ever been, ever before. And I think of your son. He is experiencing life to the fullest. Even with our pain, even with our loss, that young man is experiencing Christ. And for that, we need to be just incredibly thankful. God bless you guys, and we love you.
One thing that I remember about Jordan, when he was taking algebra, they had asked me to tutor him, and he was always wanting to do get it done fast, and so we would always he'd always talk about getting things done and doing things right, but he always had such a good attitude, and he took criticism so well, and he was always funny. Like he would always say the funniest comments, and he'd crack me up all the time. And for all the kids, we felt like almost like parents or aunts, so we have such love for Jordan, and we miss him so much, and we're so happy to be back and to be able to just be part of the family again. And there's lots of things I remember about Jordan. We used to, every year we would have pumpkin carving with the kids, and we'd have a contest, and his was always like, well, he would draw it. We didn't quite trust him with the knife at that point, so Frank would carve it for him and he'd draw, but he'd always draw the simplest thing. He was always so fun, because we'd have a contest with the neighbors next door, and it was just super fun. And what do you have?
I don't know. Jordan, I don't know. Every time I look at Eric now, it reminds me of Jordan. He was lanky and didn't know exactly how to coordinate his arms, and he was just a sweet teenage boy.
Yeah, he's about the same age as Eric.
And I don't know. it just, I remember that he just was in the weirdest stuff, you know? Just like Jennifer said, the weirdest comments.
Yeah.
Loved that boy so much. He was always fun.
Yeah. And he was so cute around the babies when we,
When we
I
had
still have
Juliana.
my favorite pictures on Halloween where Jordan is holding Anna. Anna was probably,
6 months old.
yeah, probably less than 6 months old. And that's like my favorite picture of Jordan. Also a good memory, we took the kids, the 3 kids, camping.
To Two Rivers.
Yeah, had such an awesome time. And that's a big memory too that,
We will cherish.
yeah.
All right, so we're just going to share a couple things you remembered about Jordan. It's crazy to think it's been 20 years. We spent a bunch of time with him when he was younger. Such a sweet kid, honestly. He always was.
Yeah.
It was funny. He was kind of weirdly affectionate, maybe. Like sometimes he would put his foot on you. And he did it because he was trying to express that he liked you and felt good towards you. But I remember his parents were like, cut that out. Or just put his head on you. Just very affectionate, very sweet, sweet boy. Just even when he was like 14, 15 years old, still the same way. Just a really sweet kid. What do you want to share? I got more, but
Well, I agree with Trevor where he said he was kind of innocent. Even as he got older, he was still more innocent. And one of the things I remember is when right after Kara was born, I would come over every once in a while and I was feeding her, I was nursing her, and so she was under a blanket, and I was, discreet and things like that. And Jordan came up and he started messing with her feet, and while I was feeding her, and Melissa had to point out, said, "Jordan, what are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I'm just playing. I know she's feeding the baby." He's like, "No, I don't think you understand. She's nursing the baby." And he got horrified. He just couldn't look at me in the eye, and he just kept saying, "Keep our thoughts pure here. Let's keep our thoughts pure." And so anyway, I just remember that memory a lot about him when I think about Kara and him. So
I remember we used to do a lot of the same stuff. He liked to play video games like I did. We played Madden together. I think he always liked to be Minnesota, and he liked to trash talk too, like any teenager would. I played the Broncos because they were really good back then. I remember playing other games with them. He's a lot of fun to just hang out with. I remember going down to Kansas City, the baseball game with he and Rodd, and we drove back, and I thought we were going to die because Rodd was going to fall asleep. It was like 2 a.m. So I just talked the whole time. That's more about Rodd. But I remember I talked the whole time just to keep Rodd awake. And Jordan slept the whole time in the back. So yeah, I just remember doing a lot of fun things with Jordan. He was just a fun guy to hang out with. Just kind of a goofball, but that was okay. He was just fun to be around.
I remember his quirkiness too. I remember I taught him lessons a lot. For just a time anyway, but and I remember sitting down with him and I talked to him and I said, "Okay, you know what the steady beat is? It's steady. It doesn't change." And I said, "It's kind of like your heartbeat. It stays regular." And I said, "Don't you feel like your heartbeat stays?" Like, "No." And I thought about him and I thought, he doesn't act like a kid whose heartbeat is regular. It's all over the place. So, and I remember, he tried really hard at piano, but it just really wasn't his natural thing, and that was okay.
Yes.
So about Jordan. I got a lot of memories of him. Last time I saw him was when we went paintballing, and it was a bunch of us from church, and my gun was horrible, and I think it was towards the end. I saw Jordan. I'm like, man, I don't want to shoot him, but he's on the other team, so I'm like, and my gun's not that great. I'm just gonna rip it at him. And I remember shooting at him. He just freaked out. Oh, no. And so I got somebody that day. But I think Jordan played a part in my salvation. This is the first Bible study that I went to over at your guys' place, and it was with Tom Potter, Jordan London, and Gene Quag. And that night, I learned that I was not a Christian. And I realized, oh man, I hit a crossroad and I need to make a decision. And so I was thankful that Jordan was there. And a lot of the guys that made an impact in my life, and it was awesome that it was at your guys' house, the Whitneys' house. And but Jordan, he was he was like, yo, what up? Trying to be a gangster. And you know, he had a lot of respect for me and the brothers. And you know, he was one that I know that I could just be me, and I didn't have to try to impress anybody, and I know that I can just hang out with him and it would be a good time. So I enjoy those times.
Jordan had a great impact on our children. We had just moved recently back then from Florida to Omaha, and then when we were in Tampa, the kids didn't have a lot of friends. They were kind of the only kids in the church. And so when we came here, they got to know Jordan, and they loved Jordan. He was like one of their best friends. And so that was really important and impact. Jordan, when I think of Jordan, I think he was really smart, but he was kind of clumsy, and he did a lot of silly things, but my kids loved him. That really had an impact. I think even when Jordan died, it had a great impact on some of my older kids, just solidifying their faith. I think Patty wanted to say some things too.
Yeah, I can picture him sitting at our kitchen table with our kids, and he just seemed like they were buddies. And that's last summer he helped them. He come over and helped with the we got a part of our driveway to widen, and he helped. And at the end, they made sure that Jordan Whitney, JW, initials were in the driveway.
In the concrete.
In the concrete. And they also, that summer, they used to go, can we go to Jordan's house? And they wanted to play Risk together. They really enjoyed hanging out with Jordan.
So we miss Jordan a lot. Well, I don't think we'll ever forget him. And it does, like Patty said, it helps to have that JW in the corner of our driveway. And every time I walk by, I see it and remember him. So,
yeah.
Well, we love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing him again.
So when I think of Jordan, he was, well, I think first he's one of my best friends of all time. But I think of fun, a little clumsy, but a little quirky, but a lot of fun brother or a friend that I would be able to hang out with and play with and do stuff with him. But the thing I remember most about him is he'd let you be yourself, because he was very passionate about whatever he did. So he'd always be very enthusiastic with whatever you did. Even if he wasn't very good at it, he was a little clumsy. So, but if he was going to play football or basketball, he was like, I'm going to take the winning shot. I'm going to catch the winning pass or whatever. He was always very enthusiastic. He let you be yourself. He was like the glue. So like with friendships, he was like the glue that would hold you guys together. And he was always somebody that you wanted around, and he always was around. Like I remember when we were supposed to work on our driveway. We were supposed to, it took all summer, but it was supposed to, probably could have took a weekend. But we took all summer to dig up this driveway and get it all ready. And he'd come over every Saturday or twice a week or 3 times a week, and we'd work on it. And get Doritos, we'd eat our Doritos and our Mountain Dew. We'd drink way too much Mountain Dew. Listen to music, play Risk. I just remember always doing that. He'd always make up a special rule to try to win, almost every single time. A little modification. So it was always good times. But yeah, and then he would, at the end of our driveway, he would put his initials in. He always made a special mark. That was one of the things I remember. He always made a special, left his mark on things. I remember him when we'd go to like teen conference and HSLT. He'd always be bringing his, he'd bring music so we could listen to different stuff, like 50 Cent. Probably stuff that wasn't appropriate, but it was a lot of fun, and we would drink Mountain Dew and just have a good old blast all the way to HSLT. And yeah, he was just a fun guy that we loved to hang with. He was already saying, hey, you guys are gonna be my roommates in college. And anyway, we just loved Jordan. I miss him so much. He was just a great friend. He was quirky. Yeah, I remember a lot of things he did that was interesting. Like he'd have a timer, so he'd try to stop, watch timer. And he'd always try to stop at 10 seconds, and he'd do it like 1,000,000 times. And then if he ever got 10, it was like a huge deal. Like Oh, those were fun times. What else did he do? There's a lot of things. We played football. We talked about. He'd always watch Sports Center. He'd tell us what's going on in all the sports. It's just a lot of quirky stuff. Or your friendships. He'd always be like, "Hey, you're gonna be number 1 in my friendship book. You can, give me that Mountain Dew, or I don't know, or hey, trade me some risk cards or something." He'd always do stuff like that. But he really let you be yourself. He was he was a great guy. I really wanted to see. But yeah, I'm sure there's more stories, but that's all I can think of right now.
One of the best things I remember about Jordan is just kind of shows who he was as a person. And my brothers had to dig out our driveway for my parents, and it was this packed down dirt from cars being parked on it. And so my dad was gonna lay some concrete, and so my brothers were out there digging this dirt that's packed down, and Jordan came over to join them. It's very hot. It was in summer, July, August, I don't remember exactly, but it was before school started, and so Jordan's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna come over and help you." And so he and my brothers are out there digging, sweating, just sweat dripping down their brows and digging in the dirt of a job that probably at the time they didn't know could be done much more easily than with shovels. But I just think that story to me encapsulates who Jordan was, that he was just so happy to do anything with people, that he was so loyal and just wanted to spend time with other people, that was what was important to him. So that's just one of my very fond memories that over the years has just never left me.
My favorite memories of Jordan are just like remembering his personality. He was just a super funny guy. He was always laughing, always smiling. He had the goofiest laugh you'd ever hear, and then he just was always fun. He didn't really seem too concerned about like what other people thought about him. They weren't going to get in the way of him just having a good time. He loved Mountain Dew, and him and a couple of other friends at our church, we just always be talking about getting more Mountain Dew, And so when Star Wars Episode 1 came out, they had all these soda cans with all the different Star Wars characters, and we kind of worked together to try to collect all the different Star Wars Episode 1 cans. That was kind of fun. At the time in high school, Jordan was definitely I would consider him my best friend before he passed away in high school. I hung out with him all the time, and him passing away had a big impact on who I hung out with, church and other things. It was, definitely changed my life when that happened. When Jordan passed away, kind of like as a theme, I don't know if London put it together or not, but there was that song Legacy, and I Want to Leave a Legacy, and I think that song was very fitting for Jordan because everyone just had a smile on their face, being around him. He's just a fun guy to be around, and so he left an impression on a lot of people because of that. And he also loved God too, and he's excited for God's word. And I have no doubt if Jordan was alive today, that he'd be just having a blast with everyone, being the life of the party, and just sharing the gospel with people. And I know he would have God would have used him to have a big impact on people. But for whatever reason, God decided that what was best was to take Jordan to heaven when he did, and it was difficult, but I know that what God wanted to do is what's best, and I just trust God with that, and I'm excited to see Jordan again in heaven. I'm just so thankful for the time I had with Jordan, and the impact he had on my life and the other people's lives in our church.
When I remember Jordan, I remember laughter. I remember just like at family gatherings or conferences or whenever we'd be together, I felt very sought out by him. I felt very seen by him. And he would seek out me and siblings out, cousins out, and we would just laugh together. And we would just enjoy each other's company. And that's one of the main things I remember about Jordan. And I also just really felt cared for by him like a friend, even though he's my cousin.
Something I remember about Jordan is there's a picture of the two of us at Aaron's wedding, and he has like this really calm smile, and I'm just like dying laughing. And when I think about that, it just reminds me how much fun I always had with him. He always made me laugh, and then just like real quickly would turn the conversation really serious and ask me, you know, how's school, how's youth group, all this. And then I would give him an answer, and he would just tease me and joke me, but then would be serious. And I don't know, it just always felt so comfortable, and I just always felt like he was just so welcoming. And obviously I'm family, but yeah, I just always remember having so much fun with him.
And for me, some things I remember about Jordan, or still think about. I just think about back in youth group days when I would pick up all the kids, take them to youth group, drop them home. And I know Jordan, he really enjoyed being dropped off last. And so I know he really enjoyed that time. And then also, we would also pick up my sister. And I think one of those reasons why I liked it, because I'm pretty sure I had a crush on my sister. And so, so a lot of times when he's there, I'll pick him up, only sit in the passenger seat, in the back. And I'll just mess with him. Like, Jordan, what are you doing? Jordan, don't look this way. What are you doing? I see what you're doing. And he's just like, stop. And another thing too, I think a lot about when he stayed the night with us at Tom's house on Izza Street. And so I think he loved that so much, and just I knew he had such a blast, and just we had a lot of fun there, and at the same time we had a lot of good, serious conversations. And so yeah, he's just one of the boys, and so I didn't look at him, I mean, not like a little child or anything, you know. I think he's 15, and so to me he's just one of the boys. So I think that's what I know all of us really appreciated.
Hey guys, I was thinking about Jordan the other day, and it's crazy to think about, I mean, just how he was. And like at those teenage, preteen stage, I remember how funny he was. And I remember Melissa being like, oh, he's so quirky, or, you know, it was like odd, but I was like, that part of him is so genuine and just one of those things that I think we lose nowadays, because everyone, now being a mom of someone who is a preteen, a couple preteens in this house, I think about how we've always, like that time of life, people are always trying to fit in and be like everyone else and, you know, do what everyone else is doing. But I think I remember him just being so funny, like coming up beside me and always being like, hello, hello, like right in my ear. And I remember how funny that was, or just different things where he like didn't care what people thought, and he was just himself and so genuine. And I think that also attests to like his identity was in the Lord. Like he just sometimes didn't even care what people thought. And that's something that we as parents try to instill in our kids. And I was so cool to now as an older parent think about that and think that was neat to see that character in him as a young man, and how he just exemplified like, I'm gonna just trust who I am, and that's cool.
Hi Whitneys. This is Gene sending you a heartfelt message of love. Just to let you know, 20 years on, we're still thinking about you, still thinking about Jordan. When London told me about making a message, I had this whole grandiose plans. So I'm not living in Omaha anymore. I'm living in Oklahoma. I'm an assistant professor at OSU. Oddly enough, where Rick and Neva are living in Stillwater. Yeah, I'm actually back in Omaha right now. Actually, I'm recording this from Annie's old childhood room. But I had these whole plans about coming back to Omaha because I'm up here for different reasons. A friend's wedding, this literary thing that I'm doing on Sunday. And I was going to try and record this someplace thoughtful. Like maybe, Jordan's old school, or, maybe old Candlewood. But unfortunately I got really, really ill. I'm sure you can hear it. So I've kind of been bedridden for about a week, and I realized I had to get this done. But, so I apologize for, not making this, better looking or whatever. But I just wanted to say all that really matters is, we're still thinking about Jordan. It feels like yesterday that he was, always greeting us as soon as we came into the old Candlewood. I mean, I'll remember his sense of humor, this sort of like, not schemes, but like kind of like fun things he always had going on, like his lawn mowing business, or him and Jacob always had like these little things, these little competitions going on. And yeah, just the thing I'll remember most about Jordan is just that like he was unafraid of being himself. You know, even at that young age, he just like knew who he was. And I always like loved that about him and appreciated that about him. And I saw, you know, a lot of that in myself as well. So I just wanted to say that we're still always thinking about y'all and thinking about Jordan. And yeah, love y'all.
Hey, Rodd and Melissa. Just wanted to share a few things I remember about Jordan. Melissa, you might remember this picture. I remember this day. Jordan and I were chilling downstairs. I really don't remember what we were doing, but you came down with a phone to take a picture. You said it was a school picture, and I leaned way far over so I wouldn't be in it, and you still got me with him. This picture sits next to my computer downstairs. I look at it every day. It's something I cherish. Another thing I remember, Rodd, remember I asked Jordan if he wanted to go running in the back in that field around that kickball field in the back of your house. I was like, hey, we should take off our shirts and go for a run. And then a few days later, you like came and talked to me, hey man, he's a teenager, he probably feels like really, you know, self-conscious. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I remember being there. So I just remember you guys always looking out for your son. The last thing I remember was Jordan had either spent the night or hung out with me. This is after I moved to Izzard Street. And I was driving him home. And one of the last things he said to me was, Tom, I want to be just like you. I want to have a house in California where I have men live with me that I invest in. And I'll always remember that. Thanks for raising a fabulous son.
Hello, Whitneys. London got a hold of me and asked me to do a little video for a tribute that he's doing. So, London, feel free to edit this however you want. I tried to do a good video and gave up, so I'm just going to ramble. And you can edit however you see fit. But first, I just want to say something to each of you guys individually. Rodd, I miss you a lot, and I'm very thankful for the role that you played in my life. You're incredibly generous and can't even count the meals that you bought for me. I still cherish the memories of doing setup and teardown with you and serving in the worship band and cranking out U2 songs. I remember hanging out by the fire and just having some really good conversations out there. And I really miss the 4th of July fireworks shows we used to put on. That was really an awesome time. And I miss you lots, and I wish you could be with me at every part of my journey, but that's not how God has it. But I appreciate the time that we got. Melissa, I miss you as well. I appreciate your hospitality, and I always think of you a lot around the holidays, especially around Halloween. I appreciate all the good costumes, and around Christmas, always good for spiked eggnog, and just for influencing my appreciation for lanterns and luminaries. You've always been my litmus test for crazy, and I miss having that around. Jilly, I miss your whimsical attitude and your open heart. We recently started going through Lord of the Rings again, and made me think of you guys, and Jilly doing her own language, Jillish, and her mispronouncing of words like always. Go ahead and say it for everyone now. You're still pronouncing it wrong. Josie, I miss your creative and artistic outlook. I remember teaching you, or trying to teach you how to throw, and deciding which arm you used. I still don't know if that's completely figured out. I remember you trying to convince me that Stephanie Meyer's novels were amazing, but okay. I do remember teaching you both how to drive. And hey, you're both still alive, and you're toting around your own little ones, so that seems to be a good job. stay safe. And of course, I remember all the scary movies we watched together. That's still a cherished memory. My daughter is starting to get into that phase of life, and so hopefully she'll be able to carry the mantle. But you guys were all a great blessing to my life, and I very much appreciate you. And so I guess the point is to kind of say a few words to memorialize Jordan for this 20-year anniversary, I guess. And I wanted to share it because I mean, I have a ton of memories of Omaha, and I do remember Jordan a lot. But there's a vivid memory that I have that I think of every time I hear this verse, and every time I think of this this event that happened. But I just want to share this really quick. From that day on, half of my men did the work, while the other half were equipped with spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers posted themselves behind all the people of Judah who were building the wall. Those who carried materials did their work with one hand and held a weapon in the other, and each of the builders wore his sword at his side as he worked. And the thought of building together and being on the wall together is always kind of burned into my memory when there was a bunch of us building a wall we were helping Frank build a wall, and it probably could have been just Frank doing it for a couple hours and would have been done, but for some reason we had about 20 of us there helping, and it was a fun time. But I remember Jordan really had a way of taking a mundane task and getting everybody to enjoy the experience. And so we had a task of building a wall, and we each had our own different skills and capabilities. But regardless, it was work to be done, and so he had the ability to look beyond the mundane and make the event something that inspires me still. I think of how when we are all building together, we have different skills, we have different contributions, but the task is the same. And I just remember just the levity he brought to the situation made the task just all that easier to accomplish. And again, it's just still something I remember to this day, along with him jumping from like the 10th step in the morning to wake me up. So it was good times. But I miss you all, and I pray for you guys, and hopefully I'll be able to see you soon. I love you. Talk to you later.
Rodd and Melissa, thank you for the opportunity to be part of your day and the video that's going to be put together by your wonderful children. We had a parent-teacher conference the other day, and Jillian and Josie were both there, and we started talking about the good old days, and invariably conversation turned to our time with Jordan. Jordan was a 7th grader when I first got here, and Jilly was in 5th grade. So it's been a long time of a connection between me and your family. And again, it's a privilege to be part of something special like this. So thank you for allowing me to do it and to be part of it. One of the things that we talked about was a picture that I have of Jordan in my office that's been faded by about 20 years worth of sunlight and electrical light. But it's there, it's not fading away in my heart or in my mind. And it's a pretty cool thing to have on my bulletin board to look at and remember why I do what I do. And I think about that when we get into this part of the year. We've got little reminders of our tree on campus and the placard, seeing Jilly and Josie around, Danny Bollock's birthday, all those things that kind of bring it all back to us. One of the things that I shared with the girls at the parent-teacher conference was something that I do with my kids at the end of the parking lot on the first day of school.
We have a game that they like to play, and sometimes the ball goes into the road. And before they have a chance to start on the very first day of school, the very first recess, we talk about the safety issues with the road. And playground ball is worth about $2 or less, but you can't put a value on a person. And when I explain to them about that, I think they all understand that the road is right there, and sure, it is a ball. But then I get into my story and I get a little bit more determined with my message, and I think about, and I talk to them about Jordan and his time at our school, and when Jordan was called home to heaven. And it's important they understand how real that is to me, so they understand how real it needs to be for them, and a chance for them to say, hey, this is pretty important, and for me to make that big of a deal about it. I told Jillian and Josie, I get half mad at the kids when I'm telling them, because it means that much to me that they would be safe and understand that. And a kid that, of course, Brooklyn knew this year when we told the story, but not a lot of the other kids did. And I asked Brooklyn for permission before I talked about it, because I didn't want to get her upset. But to me, those memories are still pretty vivid. Unfortunately, I feel a little bit badly about it, because I was too immature to understand how important it would have been for me to come and see Jordan. And so I do think about that every now and again, not as a full regret, but just as something that I could have done that would have been in support of the family. But at the same time, I surely appreciated what Rodd said at the funeral to me and about me. I didn't necessarily deserve that, but I was excited that he felt I needed to get some recognition for the little role that I played. And then I was thinking about our video today and thinking about Jordan, and Jordan was the kid who loved sports more than he could do the sports. And that reminded me a little bit more of myself when I was in grade school, although I didn't really have the sports nut in me that Jordan did until I was a lot older. But we had another kid here that was a sports kind of nut like that too in Benny Hellwig. And I had another kind of go around with that same kind of kid who was so into sports and maybe liked it better than the gifts were there, which is fine too. And now Benny Hellwig is a sportscaster up in Wisconsin. So in a sense there, I think of that when I think of Benny, I think of Jordan too. So sharing your kids with us here at Gethsemane was a tremendous privilege, and the time we had with Jordan and both the girls was very special to me. Obviously I wasn't here for Justin's time here, but it was great to have all of them here. And as the girls said, coming back to school was important for them to deal with their grief and pain and stuff. So whatever we did for them here, we probably don't know or won't ever really fully understand, but we're glad that we could do it. Our Jordan tree in the playground is big and strong, and we actually had to trim it up a little bit because it's getting too big and out of control. So that's a cool legacy that will be here forever too. And as far as my time is here, that tree will always be safe. So thank you for 20 years of a relationship with you guys and having the chance to work together. Thank you for the opportunity to share the message with your kids. And I hope when you guys gather together and watch this that you just know how special you all are to all of us. And if we can repay that even in half measure, that would be hopefully a good thing. So God bless you all, and we love you all very much, and we look forward to continuing to see you guys and work with you guys with Brooklyn's time here, and maybe even a few more down the road. So I don't know how to end.
Hey fam. This was always one of my favorite days, and I know that sounds really effed up, but you know what I mean. Like, the family gets together, goes out to Charleston's usually, and then to the grave, and then we go home and watch the video, and it's just a nice night to all be together and to appreciate each other and to celebrate Jordan's life. Thank you, Jillian and London and Bo and Naya for remembering and for it, even knowing that it was the 20th anniversary. Like, I'm so freaking selfish. Like, I didn't even think about it as far as that was concerned, you know, like. But yeah, we should get him a commemorative coin or something so that, you know, I think he would like that, a coin. Mom and Dad, I'm not gonna cry. I've been holding off on calling you Dad because my plan was, and this is, you know, typical me, and you, honestly, Dad, because you would do the same thing. I wanted my life to be in a different place when I called you for the first time in a year. I wanted to have certain goals that I have for myself met, and I wanted to have achieved some semblance of stability and normalcy here so that all my ducks were kind of in a row, you know, because let's face it, you know, having to approach you it fills me with dread and anxiety a lot of the time. Nothing personal. It's not you. It's just your entire aura, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. It's literally because you're my dad, and I know what you're gonna say to me, and I typically want to be able to refute some of the things that you say to me in a legitimate way, and I can't because my life is a mess, as always. I'm alive, and 80% of the time I have enough food to eat, but that's literally it. So I have not managed, and I think I told Jillian this like a couple months ago when she told me, you need to call Dad. I was like, I'm gonna call him, but I want to make sure that this, and this is done first, or that I've accomplished this, or that... well, anyway, I could be wishing and accomplishing nothing for another year, and it would go by so fast. So I don't want to do that anymore. Dad, I miss you, and I love you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were left with me. At the end of the day, you had a great son in Jordan, and he would have gone very far. He would have been a challenge, probably, to associate with on any level, but kind of would rather have that than I'm a challenge to associate with on any level. What am I talking about? Like, just because I maybe smile more and have a little bit easier time talking to people doesn't mean that I'm any less of a nightmare to have in your life. But I miss you guys. Mom, I miss you so much. I love talking to you and having just conversations about your coworkers and listening to you. Because you know what, Mom? Like, one thing that has changed about you and yours and my relationship over the years here is you do not judge me for anything. You've never said one unkind or aggressive, or you've just been loving. And I think that that's amazing, and I think that that is new, because you and my relationship was not like that when I was growing up, and I think it's so cool that you're able to be like that now. And I know that you have things you want to say, you know, I know that there's, I'm sure, times where you just want to scream and be like, what are you doing? Or, you know, but you don't. You just tell me you love me and that you miss me and you're afraid you're never going to see me again, and this, that, and the other, and that's really, it's refreshing, because I know that if I just want to talk and I just want to, you know, listen to my mom, my funny mom, talk about her life, then I can call her and there's an hour of my day accounted for, and it will be that much better because of that conversation. So I will call you soon, Mom, because I miss it and I miss you. I hope that I just want to also say thank you to all of you for the sacrifices that you've made to pick up the slack that I left when it comes to Brooklyn's tuition, watching Brooklyn, planning for Brooklyn's future. Believe me, I almost don't even touch on that subject because of how painful it is for me to think about, but I'm so grateful for you guys, because without you guys, y'all know it would just be a nightmare. And I'm also thankful for Brooklyn, because she's such a good kid. Like, in spite of me, maybe that is the legacy that I'm leaving. Maybe that is what my parenting contribution is an example of everything not to do in life. Don't do this, and this won't happen to you. And her mom and I are great examples of what not to do. So I would think it'd be fairly easy. If you think about it, Brooklyn, just always do what you think just do the opposite of what you think that I would do, and you should be good.
Yeah, before we get started, I just want to share with Rodd, Melissa, Justin, Jody, and Josie that, I love you guys. I'll undoubtedly forget something that I want to say. So, yeah, I love you guys. When it asked me to do this, I didn't want to do it, but I want to do it. And so, yeah, I was thinking about what I wanted to say in relation to all this. And 20 years, man, has gone by long and quick at the same time. So, I was just thinking through some stuff that I wanted to share. You guys have been great. You've never asked me much about the day of, and I've always appreciated that. And yeah, so I was just thinking about, and the whole day is like burned into my mind. It's like I remember every detail. And I remember sitting in the computer lab. Jordan and I would always we would sit so we could face the door, so we could see each other coming in, because we'd always mess with each other. And so I remember I'm sitting there. I'm gonna get through this, I promise. I remember sitting there and I see him come in, and goofy smile like he always had, and hey man, you want to go to lunch? And yeah, and so we didn't always get to go to lunch together, and it was a lot of fun when we did so. And so I remember we were walking out. We were just walking in the grass. Like, imagine the scene. We're walking in the grass. We're not cool. I mean, who walks in the grass? There's no sidewalk. If you guys remember that, there's no sidewalk. We just walk in there. I wish I could tell you the conversation that we had was like super profound, but it wasn't. Just two kids talking about class, life, whatever. Jordan was obsessed with this Ludacris song that had just came out, and he knew it all. He rapped the entire thing. He loved this line in the song. I think it's "Stand Up" by Ludacris. And Jordan did love it. He sang that line a couple times. So that whole walk I've memorized it. But yeah, it's like a midget hanging from my necklace. Ludacris says something, and it's just, here we are, just two dorks, honestly. And I remember we were walking there, and I remember we were gonna go to Arby's. And for the life of me, I can't remember why we switched our minds. And yeah, so we switched to the other side, and I remember standing there, and there's like a turn lane to turn into Metro, and we were hanging out there. And I remember saying to Jordan, like, and he's standing there, and I remember grabbing him, like, Jordan, watch out, you're gonna get hit by a car. Like, there's cars are turning into Metro right there. And yeah, he just says, kind of his last words. We're waiting there, and just his final words. Yeah, he said, "I'm going, buddy." I know we've talked about that before. He said, "I'm going, buddy," and he runs out. And that became like the delineation between like who we all once were and who we are now. And I remember a couple things I wanted to say to you all. I remember getting to the hospital, and I remember sitting in my dad's vehicle. I remember sitting there, and I remember seeing you, Rod, and I remember you seeing me in the car. And I remember the door's locked, Rod, and you came to the door and you're trying to get in, and I didn't want to get out of the car at all. And we unlock it, and you pull me out of the car, and you gave me Rod, you gave me the biggest hug I think I've ever gotten in my entire life. And I felt so bad. But Rod, I want you to know, like, that's meant a lot to me. I've carried that for 20 years. I've carried just you loving me right then and there for just someone hurting. I want you to know that that's helped me as I've aged and gotten older. Just make me just love on people where they are. And Melissa, Aunt Melissa, you have for 20 years, you've reached out in some form or fashion on October 1st, whether it's a text or a letter, a phone call, just thinking of you. I know for the longest time, I feel bad I never responded because I just didn't, I still don't like that day. And I really appreciate you doing that. There's just, the years have gone by, kind of the sting of loss is a little bit less. But it's always meant a lot to me that you've reached out to me. Just someone out there is thinking about me on like the worst day that's ever existed for me. I know for you too. And so I appreciate that, Melissa. It's taught me to think of others and to love others, and so I really appreciate that. Julie and Josie, I gotta do you together. I want to get through it. So I love our relationship. I was thinking about, like, we weren't the greatest friends back when I was 16, but we've become a lot closer. I know my impact and my role with my sisters and what it's like to have a capable, strong brother in your life. And I am sorry. I wanted to say that I know throughout college and you guys got married and had kids, and I know our relationship has continued to kind of just evolve, but I want you guys to know that I'd love to keep being a big brother role to you both. You both mean a lot to me. Your families mean a lot to me. I love you. I'm in your corner. If you ever need anything, I'd love to take care of you. I don't even have to close my eyes. I can see every single thing that's ever happened on that day. And, but I choose not, I can see the sounds and the sights, but, I choose not to. I choose to close my eyes and think about what would life be like now. I've been thinking about it a lot. And, man, he'd be married. He'd probably be married. He'd have kids. Man, he was such a good friend. And, I know he'd still be a good friend. I think about, man, his kids and my kids, they'd be friends. And we get to experience life together. I'm so looking forward to seeing him again. I'm so looking forward to being with him again. And I just want to say I love you guys. I want you guys to know that. I think about you guys a lot, often. And so, sorry I'm a mess. But I love you guys, and let me know if you need anything.
Where am I? My hair. Hypertraveling must have extended my hair glands Fascinating. I can't worry about that right now. Okay. Must find the Kodak hyperdrive. Find the message. Nope, message not working. Interstellar. These big scientific words. You know what? Forget it. Alright. I'm from the future. The future London. The current London is with you right now. Which is the past London, which communicated to the future one, which is me, which technically is present me, but the present one is sitting with you, but it's also the past one, and I'm the future one. That's quantum science for you. Anyways, yes, I know. Still the same black shirt I'm wearing. Don't worry about it. Okay. Alright, Big Jordan. I remember when I used to work at Toys R Us, and it was Friday nights, and I would stop by and I'd play video games with him. And I remember when I told him I couldn't do it anymore because it was Friday night, and I worked, getting off like at 10:30, 11 sometimes, and working at Toys R Us. It was late, I was tired, had to work the next morning, and he was so disappointed. But there was one night where I was leaving, and you know, he walked out in the car with me, and literally he broke down, and I think he just didn't want to be like someone specific. And I remember I really didn't know what to say. I just said, "Don't worry, bro. God's got your back, man, and your destiny is different, so you don't even have to worry about that." And I don't even know if that was the right thing to say, but he has such a heart to. It seemed like he had such a heart to do what was right, at least at that moment. I know he was I know he was sometimes probably a naughty kid too, but I mean, who isn't, right? So, man, I'm so thankful I got to hang out with them, even one-on-ones, and I'm so thankful that we have footage of him. But I love that dude, and I miss him.
What I love about Papa is that he takes me to the park.
What else?
And I love him. One time he took me to his farm place. We went in the harvest. We make fires all the time. This is what I love about it. I love her. And I love that she's sometimes creepy. She gets like this. This is what I love about Bo. She lets me come to her house, and she takes care of me at her house. And she lets me play with the dad sometimes. And we play and we do. This is what I love about Mama. She takes care of me, and she helps me take a bath, and she takes care of me, and she loves me. And I love her too. That's all.
What I like about Papa, or like love, well, yeah, because he's family. I like that he will literally take his time out of his day to literally do anything for me. And like at any time, like at anywhere, for anyone, he'll be there, mostly me. But and then I also like that he takes, like, on our Friday nights, he always goes to CR, and that he can take time out of, like, I love that he like knows that. Well, like I like that he, even though like he wants to hang out with me, he rather like will help like more than just one person. Like I'm one person myself, and so instead of like helping like one person, he could like on a Sunday night, he helps like I don't know how many people at CR, but he helps those people instead. And I respect that a lot. And that I find it very hilarious that he always mocks me every time after school and tries his best to embarrass me during devotion. Okay, what I love about Anna. I could list off so many embarrassing things right now, but I won't. I love her stories. Like about Heather, I know everything about her. I know everything about Dawn, and then Jessica, and all her crazy patience, like Rainbow Bright, and that one dude that kept screaming at you to get him some pills. I find those very funny, and that you're just your crazy self, and you're not like scared to admit it, and how you look 40 years old when you are 63 or 62. I don't know. But when you're like in your 60s and you are very funny, and like even though you joke around a lot, you still know how to take like the Lord seriously. And you always get up to get your crackers and cheese at like 3 in the morning. Love you. About Belle. I absolutely love her so much. She's very pretty, and everybody thinks in my school that she's a teen mom, but I always have to correct them and tell them that she's not. She's so fun to go thrifting with. She's my thrift buddy. She always finds the goodest. Is goodest a word? She always finds the best stuff. And that she's never, ever disappointed me in like that type of stuff. And I love when I hang out with her kids. They're absolutely amazing. I see herself in them a lot, especially Jude. Well, I'd say like all of them combined, but like a little bit. Like, you know, stir them all in the pot, take like a little bit out of it, and then I see you. More of their looks. And I always like when we drive, when like it's just me and you when we drive, or like only like one kid's in the back like you or something, I don't know. But like I like those like with you, and that you're always here to participate in stuff. And like I like that you're artsy, and that you can like literally create like the biggest mistake out of life and turn it into something beautiful. What? Jilly. Okay. I could like make this like 2 million hours long, but I think I have a time limit. Do I? I don't know. I do. She's just like the mom I literally never had. Even though like I did have a mom and I do have a dad, and they're like not dead, but like they're not there all the time, and so I really respect that you've like held on to me for that long of my life and gone through the ups and downs of it. It's like London's crypto. It can either go way up or all the way down. And I just really love you, and I really couldn't ask for anything else because not a lot of people have a Jilly in their life. And I'm glad that I do. And I'm glad that you are here to like see, a couple years ago, if you weren't like participating in all the school stuff like that, like my mom wouldn't tell you about, or like you wouldn't be in contact about, it would have never happened. Like Grandparents' Day would have never happened. I wouldn't have gone to the Nels Day and stuff like that. I'm very thankful for that, and I'm thankful for you, and I love you.